What a great night it is, live from Woodland Park. We get the city commissioners today, and it wouldn't be the same without my daughter, Fhionna.
Oh,
How are you, sweetie?
love you. Hello. How are you?
Good. It's so good to see you. I love where you're at. Tell us where you're at. What's up?
Yes, I love where I'm at too because I'm actually in Washington, D.C., actually right outside of Alexandria, Virginia, with my new baby niece, Eleanor Rosemary Shaughnessy. I'm so happy to be here with my brother, his wife, and their two babies.
And your mother's on her way, and then you guys are going to come back and see the rest of us, I think.
Heck yeah, Lord willing. That's the plan, Stan.
Well, tonight, Fhionna, we have two ladies, and we really do love both of them. We have coming on the city commissioners for Ward 2, and this is going to be interesting. I don't think that there's a more varied or variety ward like there is with the Ward 2 people.
Yeah, yes.
What's your thought on that?
Yes. So I was actually thinking about that too. So Ward 2 is a very complex ward because there are a lot of differences, and we're going to speak to our candidates about this, which I'm excited about to learn more. But we have the Shawnee Lake, which is on the outside of Shawnee city limits, closer to Bethel. And then we have it has Shawnee proper. It even has some of, like, where is it in town? What's the jurisdiction?
Broadway.
Yeah, Broadway.
Broadway down to Union. Yeah.
Exactly. It has Broadway down to Union. So two very, very important aspects of Shawnee right there in this ward alone. And so what great candidates we have for the commissioner in this seat. So I'm really excited to dive into this combo.
So let's bring them on. We have Sydney Davidson and we have Greta Madsen Schuler.
Yay!
Now, I appreciate somebody sent me a text that said a microphone is really scratchy. I need to figure out, is it my microphone or Fiona's microphone?
I think it's yours. I just like to point blame though.
It sounds good to me. Does it sound really scratchy to everybody?
It's fine.
Does it sound...
But somebody mute first and stick to it.
No, that makes me...
It's Daniel.
Yep, it's Daniel.
Fhionna, you won that one.
Okay, well, this is what I get to do because we're live. So this is actually kind of cool. We get to adjust here. Fhionna, I'm going to pop out because I'm going to try to fix my problem. And then I'll be popping back in. So it's up to you to start this off. And you
Oh
get
no,
to go...
what am I going to do? Have a conversation with these two ladies? What?
Later.
I can't wait. Okay, honestly, I like that he's gone because I love him. He knows it. But I am really interested and curious about this one. Well, a few particular things, but I'm just going to dive into my own questions if that's okay. And so I can't like put you on the screen and take you off like my dad can. But normally we give them about, whatever, take your time, I think, on these. It's fine. But I'm curious because we were just talking about the differences in Ward 2 and how there is Broadway and Union, a great historical aspect of Ward 2. And then there's Shawnee Lake, which is such a unique aspect of the entire community, and not a lot of people in Shawnee proper are even familiar with Shawnee Lake. So there are a lot of different aspects. And so since you guys are both my friends and I adore you both, I know that you guys have different Greta, you live on the lake like we've learned, and Sydney, you live in Shawnee. And so I want to know what you guys feel personally is a benefit to that and where you live and where you're planted, and then also not so benefit to that. So your pros and cons of where you live, where you're located in this ward, and what you want to learn in the pros and cons. So we can start with Sydney, because I know you'll correct me if I ask the question wrong too. In the best way.
Yeah, so I think that it's gonna benefit me that I live in the city. I am there and I know kind of what's going on. I think that the con is going to be, I think that the lake people really want a lake representative, and I totally get that. Like, I don't live out there. I don't know what it's necessarily like to live out there. That's where I'm going to have to really build trust with them so that they will feel confident in talking to me about their needs. I do visit the lake a lot. I like to kayak. And so that is something I really enjoy, is going out to the lake. But I think that that's going to definitely be something that I'm going to have to, a hurdle I'm going to have to get over if I am elected, because I think it's going to be really important to earn their trust. And I think earning it is definitely the key word there.
Yes, I love that. And that's great input as well. Okay, Greta?
So I do live at the lake. I do feel like there's kind of a dissonance between what people call the lake and then the actual city. So lake residents are actually in the city. So we are a part of the city. We're no different than the rest of the town or the city of Shawnee. And so we abide by the same rules. We abide by the same codes. We are within city limits. And one of the differences between us and people who live in the city is that the city dwellers, quote, because we are still, the lake residents are city dwellers as well, but the people who live in the main part of Shawnee get the benefits of city water, city sewer. So the lake residents actually have to drill a well, and we also have to have our own septic and or aeration system. So that's a little bit of a unique aspect of being a resident at the lake. So we don't get, in our trash, we also have to pay separately for our trash as well. Whereas city residents, when they pay a water bill, and then the trash service comes with that water bill. And so the lake residents are actually, we kind of view ourselves as somewhat of a guardian for the water source. So there really wouldn't be a city without the source of water. And with that comes a lot of responsibility with those of us that live at the lake. So we kind of have our own system as far as, maintaining the order there. And since we are minimal on staffing and the policing out there and the patrol and that kind of thing, we as lake residents kind of have to band together to make sure that we take care of Shawnee's most precious resource. When we as lake residents actually don't indeed rely on that resource, we actually have wells. So I really hope that at some point in Shawnee that the divide, or what seems to be a divide between people who live at the lake and the quote city, we are still city residents. So I hope that is well conveyed. And this fly is joining our conversation. So everybody wave to the fly. So I'm going to be waving at him a lot. I apologize. But anyway, so yes, so I think that it's a benefit to live in the city, but lake residents do live in the city. So
Yeah, I do want to know your con, Greta. I don't know if I heard the con. Like, so there was a lot of pros in living at the lake, and I honestly learned so much through that. I had no idea that you guys had to drill your own well, and we're like, oh, the lake people are definitely protecting that lake water source, and then we're like, oh, but yeah. So that was a lot of clarification. Do you have like a con for living out in the lake? I know you are a business owner in town, so that might be your second home, or
it's, of course I live pretty much everywhere because I am a business owner. So I live within my businesses. And then I also have a home where I lay my head and my doggies play. But as far as a con, we are far out there. So things like response time as far as police and that kind of thing is pretty, it gets to be 22 to 25 minutes as far as response time. So I would say there's nothing really to fix that other than having a more active patrol for the police. And so, when they're responding to anything, it's because they're coming straight from town. So that's probably the only con that I can really think of.
Yeah. I love those 2 points. You both prove yourself to be brilliant in where you guys plant yourself in every aspect. So I appreciate that. And Sydney, honestly, I want to say thank you. What I really value in your heart and who you are as a human is you're honest and you will speak the truth and you're very informed and educated. And that is kind of like an elephant in the room about building that trust with the individuals who live on the lake. And I mean, I think Greta just in this conversation shed a lot of light on that, because it shows that there are a lot of different things that, different ways we're living right here in this community together. So thank you both for that clarification. It really, I feel well informed, and I'm glad my dad had to leave for a second so I could get that info. Oh, well, Dad, now that you've entered the chat, is there anything you want to chime in on?
Well, yeah, first of all, I want to say, yes, Sydney, I believe that you speak the truth, but I know Greta speaks the truth too. I know that you try to, Fhionna. I certainly try to, and that's what drives us all forward. I do have a thought in listening to that Great Divide, because the Great Divide goes straight down Lake Road, which is out St. Benedict's Road or Benedict Road. And I'm wondering, what about trying to bring that together somehow with like a bike trail or some sort of walking trail or something that really could be, I mean, Broadway is one of our, our classic streets. It's a show street for us. And wouldn't it be cool to have something that maybe you could tour Broadway and then go all the way out to the lake down Benedict Road? And what are the possibilities of working on something like that for the health and well-being of all of our families, to be able to utilize something like that to get out to our water source? Greta.
First, does it matter? Who's going first?
Greta goes first.
Okay. So I love bike trails. I love, if anybody has ever visited Bentonville, Arkansas, that is one of my favorite places on the planet. And I've been a lot of different places, and they have bike trails and hiking trails everywhere. So I'm a huge proponent of that kind of activity. And I think it would be fantastic. I do think there would be some major challenges in that, most of the watershed runoff down the road of Benedict Street out Lake Road is pretty substantial. So we would have to acquire some land and somehow, get that drainage correct. But I think if that's doable and that's something, and that fits very closely in with Avitas's mission statement as far as the health and well-being of Shawnee, and that's what they were designed for. So if that's something that they would want to pursue, and that if our Shawnee residents are behind it and they want that, 100%. So if that's something our Shawnee residents desire, absolutely.
What do you think, Sydney?
Yeah, I feel very similar to Greta. I think Bentonville, amazing. I think that that's a great city to kind of look at and maybe model a little bit after. They have a really great economic situation there. They have lots and lots of visitors, people that they pull in. And I think that a lot of it has to do with the trails. So if we could figure out how to do that, I mean, obviously funding would be an issue, and maybe a grant or something could be in the works for that. I think that is a fantastic idea. And it would also help bridge the gap between the lake residents and the city dwellers a little bit.
Well, in just using the term bridge, I'm glad you did, because Slover Bridge in that entrance out Slover Road to the lake is actually an alternative that's not too far from Lake Road that we might be able to look into, which would, I think, help with our cost, not trying to do something on the well-traveled Benedict and Lake Road, but just an idea to throw out there. And that's in your districts, in your ward, I should say. So Sydney, tell us, what is it like that really excites you about the ward in which you live in, and you coming on to the commission of something that you would really like to see happen? Like, what is a driver for you to go, I would really like to see this happen?
Yeah, I think that there is so much history in our ward specifically. So Broadway, the lake in itself is a historical marker. It's fantastic. And if you've read the history on the lake, it's really fascinating. But I think that we could go really far, and it would also improve our economics if we would just take that history and just kind of capitalize on it a little bit, use it to market the city a little bit. So I'm really excited about the historical possibilities, the ways that we could market our historical part of our towns.
Okay. What about you, Greta? What about that idea and of what really drives you to want to be Ward 2 commissioner, and what would you really like to see happen?
I think that I have spoken a lot about getting Shawnee together as a loyal community to each other. And I think that would start with the lake residents and building some kind of a bridge between the people who live in town and think that there's some kind of difference or separation between the two of us. And so if we can all kind of come together, that would be really huge for me. I'm not sure exactly how to accomplish that, but I have a few ideas in mind as far as building loyalty and building kind of like a brand almost, and having people want to spend their money here and want to stay here to shop and want to stay here to enjoy leisure time. There's a lot that goes into that, but I just kind of want to get back to what I hear the lake used to be. A lot of our city focus is on the lake, and years ago we used to have a hatchery that was maintained by a lake. Oh my gosh, I can't think of the name. He was basically like a lake ranger is what he was. And so we had all kinds of fishing tournaments, and we still have fishing tournaments. So our whole lake was stocked. And, I hear people talk about how big the saugeye were that they caught, and people would come from all over the state and out of state, and they would do these big fishing tournaments, and it was a fabulous thing. And we got all kinds of tourism. That's kind of what I think that as far as a first step of making Shawnee a destination, I think that would be it. So getting something going back, like we used to have that, I think we need to go back to that.
I love that. So it was a fishing tournament, and a hatchery is where they grow fish and then let them go.
Yep. So they stocked our Shawnee giant pond. It's a lake, but they stocked the pond with fish like saugeye. And they had a whole hatchery that was down, I believe it was down below the spillway. And they did all that from right there. And we had a lake ranger that took care of all of that and, maintained the order on the lake and that kind of thing. And so I think that's where we need to go back to.
So a saugeye is not like Mr. Miyagi. It was actually a fish?
It's a fish. And apparently from what I hear, it's very good white meat. So,
okay. Fhionna, that would be your choice. You like the chicken breast and the turkey breast?
Don't get me started on the white meat comment. I can't. I'm too.
All right.
Catfish out there, like catfish is not for everybody. So
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Sydney, what are you, a white meat or a dark meat?
White.
I like my fish like I like my men. I told my dad. I said, "Don't go there. Don't go there."
Oh man, yeah. So then I guess I'm the only dark meat guy.
Yeah. There you go.
All right. So a little too loose. Let's go to hey Fhionna. You have another
Reel
question.
it in. Reel it in. Literally.
No, oh come on. Really?
So,
Okay,
You
Fhionna,
guys are so punny.
you have another question, Fhionna?
Okay, I do want to say also in that comment I agree with both of you ladies in that, and that's why I just want to say you guys make me very optimistic on what's to come for Shawnee, because I also agree we have a lot to capitalize on. Sydney, we have beautiful, amazing things we can shout from the mountaintops, and so I love that perspective. And same, Greta, like let's get these things that we've done in the past back, and let's continue that longevity with just like fun, family friendly environment. So I just love that, and I really appreciate both of your hearts with that. And with this being said, this goes into kind of my next question, but you both are amazing, brilliant individuals, but you're also amazing, brilliant mothers to children. You both have children in this community. Greta, I'm sorry, you don't need to say where your kids go to school, but do they go to school in Shawnee Public Schools?
So I actually wasn't able to give birth to children. So I have stepchildren.
Okay.
My stepchildren, one of them he actually just turned 30. So if you see my husband, give him a hard time about being old.
Okay, I will. I love Elliot.
And he is the best. My stepson is the best. He wishes me happy Mother's Day.
Oh, yes.
And my stepdaughter, she goes to Norman High School, and she's getting ready to start more Norman for nursing. So she's part of that program this next semester. So I'm super proud of her. She's a band nerd, and we love her for it. And we go to all of her band shows and all of her concerts and all of her everything. And she's just an amazing little human. But
I love that.
17 in June. And I've actually been in her life since she was about 3 months old. So she is,
Okay.
even though I didn't carry her in me, she is my baby.
Okay.
But my 30-year-old stepson is my baby.
Yes.
So,
And I was like, Greta, I swore that you had children here, and so I apologize for not being totally informed on that. But
they're mine. They are mine. And even like my stepson's mom, we co-mom, and she is the most as well, as far as she will call me, or when he was younger, she used to call me on things and we would co-mom. And I was just like, you have no idea how big of a compliment that is.
yes,
And she's like family, and that's my
amazing.
mom. Like, I just love it. Yeah, it makes me super happy. And it's a perfect situation. I couldn't ask for anything better. So
I love that. So yes, with that being said, you both have like raised children in this community, and you have in Sydney. So again, different perspectives. Greta, your kids are more grown, and now you're focused on this, and you can dive into this. In Sydney, I am very interested in your phase of life because your children are scattered. You have one going into high school, you have one that's in middle school, and you have one that's like in elementary school. So they are growing. So what I'm curious about is, what have you learned from, what are hidden gems in the community that you have learned from the lenses of your children? That's what I'm interested in. And Sydney, you can go first since your kids are still young and
we talked to Greta already. It's Sydney's turn.
It's my turn.
That's what I said, Sydney.
Yeah. So all of my kids go to Shawnee Public Schools. I know you said we didn't really need to say that, but I'm a huge proponent for public schools. I think our school systems are great. I think, of course, every school system has room for growth, but I really, really am a big supporter of our school system. And I think that if we just really get involved with our children in their schools and meet the administrators and meet the teachers and just kind of become a part of them, it's really, really great. And you become kind of a big family. But aside from the schools, there is a little park down the street from us. And now I've forgotten the name. This is terrible. It is in our ward. I'm terrible, but my kids love it. And it's just a little neighborhood park. And you kind of go down. No.
Is it the one in the circle, like down and it's hidden
right
in
off of Broadway?
Circle?
Yeah, is it Redbud?
No.
But does it attach to Redbud?
Redbud.
Yes, it's across Ross something Mueller.
Yeah, and there's like it is a beautiful park.
I go there all the time.
Yeah.
Look Miller.
Yes,
Look
Miller.
Yep.
Yes. Thank you. We'd get it eventually.
Yes.
My kids love to go there. It's really pretty. I think it's a hidden gem. There is still a little bit of storm damage that needs to be cleaned up. There's some brush that has kind of fallen over into the little reservoir between the park and the apartment complex that's next to it. But it's really great. There's kids that live right across the street that just come out and play when they see your kid there. And they're really cute little kids, and they just love to play. And so I think that that's we have these amazing parks like Space and Woodland, but then we also, in each community, we have little individual parks that I just think are fantastic.
Yes, I agree.
So for a long time, those parks, we had over 40 of them, I believe, and they were tough to maintain. We
Yeah,
have trouble maintaining some aspects. So, for example, I drive Bryan, and that's a heavily used walking trail, and it doesn't have the best maintenance. What can we do about that? As mothers, I know that you guys understand that problem for young families, trying to be out and trying to be active. Do you have any ideas for the recreation area and the upkeep of the of all of the acreages that are the responsibility of the city? We'll start with you, Sydney.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, when I'm there with my kids, I spend a good portion of the time picking up trash myself. I think that a lot of it, there's obviously not a huge budget, and that goes along with the economy. So I don't know that we have manpower or the budget right now to put on that. I think at that point it becomes a responsibility of the citizens, the people that actually use the park. We should be respectful of the land that we're using. We should pick up after ourselves and make sure that it stays great for our community now and for future communities. So, I mean, I think that, yeah, I would love to have the city focus on that a little bit, but also in the meantime, let's do what we can ourselves.
I really like that answer, actually. But Greta, that points to something that you pointed out about the residents of the lake as well. You guys already kind of do that, which
we do that. Yep,
I love that. Do you have any ideas on that, on the upkeep of our parks and the recreational what should I say, acreages that we have around?
I do. So so let me answer your question about the kids and really quick. So the kids activities, so we love to go to the library. So one of the most famous things in our town, our library kids activities. We have done so many projects with Mary Sims specifically, and then of course Courtney Shelley, and now she's married, so she has a different last name. But both of those ladies put on great programs of the library. So we have taken our daughter there to do we've built lots of little stepping stones that we still have at the library. We have shot rockets. My husband assisted with the shooting of the rockets. We've done big Van Gogh paintings that you can actually still see down at the library. And then the other thing about the park that City mentioned, my husband actually helped cut that Lark Miller, that archway. Yeah. My husband actually made that. So anyway, pretty cool, right? So
he is that old, isn't he?
Happened a couple of years ago. We'll like he's old. It's fine. So the answer to that question, I think that there was a huge litter campaign that went through the United States, and there was a lot of research that went about going about how to decrease littering in our town. So if trash is an issue, there is a marketing strategy that can be done that actually keeps people from littering. And of course, then there are other things that we can do as far as repercussions if trash is the issue. And then we can also try to work with central disposal as far as emptying dumpsters, if that's something that needs to be done more often, if the cause is an overfilling of dumpsters or something like, or if we needed to have more regular, they have like a, it's like a curb day where everybody puts their trash out. I can't think of what it's called, but like community trash day. Yeah, community trash day or whatever that is. So if we need to have those more often so that it can keep our actual parks and streets cleaner, then that's something that I think that we could definitely look into as far as, I mean, that's a contract we already have with central disposal. If we need to up it more often, if we work on that should be feasible and within budget and doable.
Wow. That's another good idea. I like these ladies, Fhionna. I
was just thinking that. And I was so happy Greta went back to that question, which both of these ladies, they're both on top of it. I was like, Greta's going to get that question. I know she will. But I also love the aspect of let's do it ourselves. Like, we're not afraid to put on the gloves, pick up the trash, make it a game with our own kids. Yes, it's dirty, but that's why you have the gloves, just proper, just it's all about mindset a lot of times when you go into situations like that. And I've realized spending 3 days with a 1.5-year-old, you can make absolutely anything a game. And sometimes you need to make just absolutely anything a game. And so I'm like, you could totally be like, okay, whoever picks up the most piece of trash, And so I love that you both are really proactive and forward thinkers like that. I think that that's a blessing for Shawnee. Honestly, I'm like, just put the seat in half and you guys can just snuggle in and it'll be perfect.
It doesn't work that way.
Yes,
No.
yes. Thank you for your unique perspectives, for sure.
Okay, let's talk about that damn thing. How about that? Did you
Yeah.
guys,
Thing to talk about. Yep.
did you guys see Fiona's talk with the mayor when they talked about that dam project? No.
That's, if you say no, I'm not voting for you. I'm just
You
kidding.
can't vote for us anyway.
I don't live in Ward 2.
They don't have to worry about us, sweetheart.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
It's okay. It's
I
okay.
honestly thought it was happening. So I guess I misunderstood. I thought that was happening tonight as well. And so I didn't realize that I needed to watch it beforehand.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And the best thing about the internet is you can always go back and look.
Read
But I
Yeah.
learned a lot in that conversation. I learned a lot.
So Fiona, can you tell us?
Yeah. Yeah. I got this. So what I learned about this damn thing is that it is a big deal and it is something that needs to be prioritized. However, it is not, I got the reassurance and validation. It's not going to just collapse overnight. They are doing maintenance checks. I think Ed said almost weekly, and maybe even more frequently than that. They have a crew that goes in and they have a contract with somebody that goes in, checks the dam, make sure it's all, taken care of, not going to fall over overnight. And I don't remember how they're either looking for funding or what the funding situation was over time and how they're gonna, I don't know. Do you remember that, Dad? What the conversation was about, like how the future funding and how the
Yes.
anyways, I don't want to go on too much of a tangent, but what I did learn is that it's not going to fall over tomorrow. So it is a touchy subject. It's being monitored. We know that we need to get this dam fixed. And then, Dad, what was your question that you were going to ask?
Well, actually, it's a damn problem that we have.
There's a damn problem. I did learn that there's a damn problem.
It's as old as our water source. It's the original, and it was basically just land, pushed up to make the dam. And there are signs of it wearing, but there's not a threat of it breaking, like really for a long time. But through the testing, it is time now to start to address it because it's like an ungodly amount of money to try to
$100 million to even
hundreds of millions. And it blew me away. But I guess when you drive over it and you realize how large that is, it would take a heck of a lot. So right now they've already activated on assessing the problem, the best way to attack the problem. So those things are moving. So I just wanted to get your opinion on, if the dam isn't the biggest problem perhaps that your ward has, what do you think that you're going to face that you want to attack? Not necessarily something that you think you want to make happen because it's going to be great, but how about something that's kind of a problem that you feel you want your voice in and you want to see something happen to alleviate a problem? And we'll start with you, Sydney.
So I spoke with the fire chief a few weeks ago. Actually, it was a couple months ago when I first started thinking about running. And this kind of came from a conversation I had with some lake residents. There's apparently a bridge that is, I believe, on Lake Road that prevents the big fire trucks from going over it. So they have to go around to get to people. So if there's actually like a big fire, it's going to take a lot longer than necessary to get there because they have to go around this bridge. So that's one of the very first things that I want to look into is why was the weight limit of that bridge, that specific bridge, changed? So the fire chief didn't know why it was changed. It just was changed and now he can't go over it. So I want to find out why and what we can do to fix it so that the fire truck can go over it and get to the people when they need help. So that's like, I believe that that's a very pressing issue that we need to look at immediately.
Okay. Greta?
I think that's great. And I totally agree. That definitely needs to be something that is an issue that I've heard about as well. And I think that that's just one of the many things that needs to be addressed as far as, again, the distance of the travel between the lake and where our fire stations are located. And so I think that I keep going back to this. I think that the cohesion of the city itself and our residents and our loyalty to ourselves as a city would probably be my primary focus. We have such a great thing here, and I really feel if we work together and try to make it what it could be, that it could be that. So that would be a primary focus for me, and of course the main safety of our residents and the main water source of all of those things are definitely top of the list. But as far as the overall kind of plan or goal that I have, it would be to get Shawnee residents loyal to each other and loyal to our city and try to build the network of what we have.
So let's stay there just a second on loyalty, because you have a great venue out at the lake and you're sitting in a great venue there on Main Street. Do we get to use your venues for, no matter who wins, Greta, do we get to use your venues to bring the city folk together and the lake people together? Maybe the lake people host out at the lake and the city people host at the Speak-Atery. I kind of did that.
Anytime, I mean, if we need to have like a community, if that's what it takes, my goodness, if that's all it took, once a month, done, easy peasy. Have everybody get together, a community dinner or whatever, where everybody hangs out and has fun and shakes each other's hands. And absolutely, I'm 100% down with that. Because if that's as easy as that, I'm great.
Well, I'm one that thinks if you bring people together and they have to be face to face in a room, it actually helps a heck of a lot.
It does.
Sydney, you're over there at OBU. Tell us about how we can take advantage of your position and have some parties over there as well.
Well, OBU loves partnering with the community. I know that there's going to be a bicycle rally or something out here in our oval. We have the spotlight on Shawnee that happens every welcome week, which is fantastic. It gives a chance for all of the businesses in Shawnee to come out, and they set up a booth, and all of the new freshmen come by. So all the churches are out there, the fast food restaurants are out there, and they're just saying, hey, we're here. Come see us. So, OBU just absolutely loves Shawnee, and we love partnering with Shawnee. And so, yeah, bring it on.
I will say on that too, because this is another dynamic that you both are just so special and unique in, is Greta, your business is, and you're a business owner, and Sydney, in my time just working deep in the community and my involvement with Oklahoma Baptist University, if I've learned anything, it's that Heath Thomas wants to be a part of Shawnee. He wants Oklahoma Baptist University to be a part of Shawnee. He wants those students to fall in love with Shawnee and live here forever. He has been in so many conversations just to implement positive change for the entire community. So it makes me excited when I look at both of your jobs, because they are both gyms, because I'm like, what a great opportunity for Shawnee to have someone in the know at Oklahoma Baptist University and be able to incorporate some of that language and educate us on what's going on over there. Because even at commission meetings, I've had people, public comments. A lot of those public comments have to do with OBU, and a lot of people on commission at the end, you'll see them say like, I have a few contacts at OBU. I'll reach out and see what happens. And so just both of these perspectives on what you both could bring to the table and the knowledge of your jobs are super special and unique to this seat. And so I admire that as well. So thank you for your feedback on that too.
Well, it takes a special person to throw your hat into the ring, and you both.
Yes.
And something else, Fhionna, I don't know, but I think you're sitting with 3 OBU graduates.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Talking about feeding into the community.
Yeah. And what I do want to also touch on for you ladies, which is so important, is that you are here for generational change and generational impact. And I see that for a lot of our current commissioners as well. But I love your excitement. I love your proactiveness and forward thinking, and that is just so exciting for the future of our community. So don't lose that at all.
I do want to clarify, I'm technically not an OBU grad, which is super, super sad for me. I did start at OBU for two years. I went here. And then, I've never figured out why they let young 20-year-olds make life decisions.
Didn't your friend call you? Your friend called you and
yes,
was like, hey,
my friend called and was like, you should transfer so we can live together. And I was like, okay. And so I spent my first semester away crying and trying to get back, but I lost my scholarships, and so I had to stay where I was. But I always knew I would make it back. I was like, someday I'm getting back to OBU, and so I did it. I'm here, and I'm not leaving this time.
So Greta, you were a 4-year girl, right?
I was.
Did you graduate in 4 years?
I did.
That's impressive.
Yep.
That's impressive. Okay, so Sydney, I'm exactly the opposite. I was 3 years at University of New Orleans, and my brother called and said, hey, if you come up, I'll give you a tennis scholarship. And on the phone, I said, okay. And I switched, or else I would not be an OBU graduate.
Yeah,
and we would not be here.
Yeah,
we wouldn't be for me.
I will tell you, as someone who has been to a different school and who has been to OBU, the community here is unmatched. Like it's unmatched. There's no other word for it. It's absolutely amazing. I would have given anything to come back to it. So I'm really glad that I get to be a part of it again.
Well, that's interesting because Greta, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're born and raised Shawnee, right?
I am.
And you have at least three businesses now in Shawnee, right?
I do.
And one of those is the coffee shop on.
Yep. On campus. Yep.
That would be Heavenly Grind.
Yes.
So that went through a hard period of time. I mean, the tornado, that was like an epicenter. I mean, right there by YMCA.
Yes.
So in that process of you had to work closely with the city. I'd like to hear from you something that you learned through that situation that either upsets you greatly, that other people might be able to relate to, or that surprised you, that it was taken care of so well, on how the city moved in your situation. Can you kind of be candid with us on some of that?
So,
and it's whatever you want to share, Greta. I don't want to push for anything you don't want to share.
You're fine. So I learned that nothing happens fast. Nothing happens fast. So I actually, something I don't talk about a lot is so if anybody's seen the movie Twister and you see them chasing storms. So as that storm was coming in and hitting like the Lowe's area, I was actually leaving Walmart. We had sheltered. And I need to make a post about this at some time because it's pretty interesting. I had seen the storm far off and I came back to town because I had 7 events that weekend, back to back, stacked up, because it was peak. So I had events all over the place. So I looked over to the west and I thought, oh, that doesn't look good at all. I need to head to town and get all my product before the storm hits. So I'm in Walmart and the storm hits and I'm checking out and they're like, we need you to go back and shelter. And I was like, seriously? Really? And I was like, okay. So I pushed my basket back there. And so we sit back there and I'm thinking to myself, we're going to be back here for 45 minutes or an hour. I may as well just settle in. 10 minutes later, they say, you can go ahead and go. Well, the minute I walk out and you could hear everything coming down on the roof of Walmart. And I look outside and there's horizontal rain. And I'm like, I got to make a dash for it. So I throw all my groceries into my van and I'm driving like a maniac. And I'm on the phone with my husband. And I'm like, where's it at? Where's it? Because he was working outside of town at that point. I was like, where's it at? Where am I going? Where am I going? And so I actually drove completely. As it was touching down at Lowe's, I was hitting I-40. I was the only idiot on I-40, FYI. They had already somehow blocked it off or something. I was the only moron that was driving down I-40 at about 15 miles an hour because the water was coming down in sheets. And so I was able to like drive around at home. And then I started getting text messages of people saying to me, oh my goodness, your coffee shop was destroyed. And it wasn't destroyed, but it was very heavily damaged. So the one thing I learned about that is that, it just takes time. It has taken, and people have asked me so many times when I'm going to reopen, if I'm going to reopen. There were a lot of factors that were kind of keeping me from reopening. And so it's just been a really long process. I have a really big day with that tomorrow at 9 a.m. So as soon as I get done with this, I'm actually going to go try to get some stuff done so I can have hopefully a good outcome from the big day tomorrow. And so I'm hoping to announce my reopening date for that as well. And it's just been a very challenging process just in general, dealing with insurance, dealing with FEMA, which apparently you don't qualify for FEMA if you are insured, just FYI, in case anybody knows. So if the only thing FEMA will cover is anything that you're not insured. So like if the costs of repairs, et cetera, go above and beyond what you're insured for, then FEMA comes in and kicks in. So that was a learning experience for me. But there's just a ton of just waiting. You just sit and wait and wait and wait some more and wait a minute, wait some more. And then you wait some more. So that's what I've learned about it. That's been an extreme hardship when, you've got everybody kind of asking you, well, what's the status? What's the status? And it's like, I don't know anything new. Nothing's happened new. So, yeah.
So I kind of have a question on that. So during that time, a lot of people in the community, of course, that is your business, but a lot of people in the community were kind of like, the city needs to hurry, even whenever it was businesses. So I think that does bring like a good perspective to that conversation of like the business itself kind of had to go through that process before the city could even step in a little bit. And so I think that that's an interesting perspective because and I should know better. I kind of was like, oh, I wonder what's happening with that property. But it turns out like there's just a long, long process to go through before anything can get resolved right off the bat. So that's interesting.
Yeah. And that is a lease. So I think what your dad was kind of trying to ask about that is that like what the process was. So the way that all of that works is once the tornado hit, my OG&E meter got pulled. So in order to obtain electricity again, I had to get an electrician. I had to run electricity. But I could not do any of that and get a new meter dropped without having a lease. And so since the city took a while to get my lease done, to release the property to me, that's what actually the holdup was. I saw you, Fhionna, I saw you say that, but I didn't hear it. Did you say something
I
else?
said that's an interesting perspective.
And back to you, Sydney, that's a Shawnee perspective right there. That's why you love the people, the stories that you get, right?
Mm-hmm.
So at OBU, you guys as well, right there in that tornado, did you learn anything through the process with your affiliation with the institution and having to deal with the aftermath of the tornado?
Oh, I've learned so much that I would say one of the main things I've learned is things cost way more than you think they cost. Like it's unreal how much it costs to rebuild, to fix these things. It's crazy. Like even in my house, I had damage at my house and there was quite a bit more damage to my house than what the insurance paid for. So, I mean, I think like Greta said, it takes a really, really long time. I think a lot of people are kind of upset at the city because of the amount of time that it's taken. But when you look at FEMA and how long it takes to do all of that, I think it answers a lot of those questions. Like the ball fields, they had to wait until FEMA said they could move. And so now that FEMA has allowed that, then they've moved. So I think there's a lot of important things to remember there. As far as OBU goes, I'm just really impressed at the way our president led us. And I think that the way that OBU and the community of Shawnee came together, I think was really great. But prices of things, man, it's crazy.
Yes, exactly. Which I also think that will be a good learning lesson as a commissioner too. If I've learned anything through these conversations, it's money management. You have to know what you're voting on, what line item in the budget you're voting for, and you have to project for what costs are going to be in the future, which is so intimidating, especially after that experience. And I do love what you said about Shawnee coming together through the tornado. I think that was a pivotal experience for our community, and we really were, it was revealed how we are able to work together and how we can pull through together and how we can get better. So yeah, you're on mute, Dan.
Thank you.
You should've said
I
yes.
have an audience. So I have a comment from a watcher, and I'd like to incorporate that. I have not. This will be fun because I have not read this yet. I'm going to read it while we're all together. Here we go. But I'm late to the party, so maybe you've already covered my question. We live in the older part of Shawnee, right in the middle of town. Our neighborhoods are dilapidated and unsafe. The homelessness problems shifted out of downtown into the neighborhoods. I was in the north side neighborhoods and thought to myself, we could take a walk in this neighborhood. If you're elected to represent our neighborhood, what can you do to improve neighborhoods? And we will start with, who did I start with last time? Sydney. So I'm starting with Greta. Neighborhoods, Greta, what are we going to do?
So I think a lot of this has to do with, part of it could be on state level. So have things like that are crimes that are misdemeanors, then we may need to work as a city. We may need to work with our state level and try to get some crimes made back into actual felonies. As far as if people are doing things that are not so if someone feels unsafe in their neighborhood and something's a misdemeanor, it's not gonna stop anyone from doing that act. And so if it's working at the state level, and I have a good relationship with several of the state level employees, and so that's a possibility. It's also working with our police department and making sure that if that is something that is dangerous, if it's illegal, if it is anything that we can rectify or try to discourage or whatever the case may be, then we need to have the proper planning in place to make sure that our neighborhoods are safe. And I think, and that goes for any neighborhood, not just the Broadway specific. I feel like that's really any neighborhood. And yes, we do have a homeless issue, but it's not just that. If we need to have a solid plan to mitigate any future, whether it's vagrant, homeless, any kind of activity like that, that needs to be a solid plan in place for the entire city and not just specific neighborhoods and or Main Street itself.
All right, Sydney, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I agree with Greta in that, I think that we really need to come behind and support the police officers. They're the ones that are going to make one of the biggest impacts in the crime situation and also the homeless situation. And I think we need to do whatever we can to support them. I also think that the homeless situation, it is rough. It's getting better. I think getting some groups in, and I understand that there is a group that is working on that, a roundtable situation that's working on the homeless situation. But I think that we've got to get that figured out. We've got to figure out how to get them off the streets, how to get them into permanent housing, maybe even look into why are they ending up here. So I just think that there's a lot of things that need to be addressed. I don't know that the city is necessarily the right go-to for that homeless situation. There's not funding that the city has. We're not going to go build a shelter, but I think that if we really come behind and support some of the nonprofits that do that work, that and partner with them, that we could get a lot done.
I do too, and I'd echo actually an idea you guys had earlier about bringing people together. Actually, inviting some of the people that perhaps make us uncomfortable and getting to know them and getting to know their stories very much help all the different institutional help that is in place to try to rectify the situation. But I think the first thing we have to do is try to build a relationship. Even when they're uncomfortable relationships, we have to be able to spend the time to know the people that we're talking about and the specific places. And I appreciate our question coming in, and we don't know specifically what neighborhood is being asked about there, but we understand the problem that's been outlined, and I think you both adequately answered, and I certainly appreciate your insights in that.
So
I do.
Yeah, can I say, I'm sorry, can I really quick, Fhionna, I'm sorry.
You go, girl. You go.
Crisis intervention team that is currently the grant funding is getting ready to end, but they do exactly what you're talking about, making the relationship with the people. So go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, don't apologize. This is your show. What I will say for the person who commented, also what I learned yesterday or speaking with the mayor, is the citizen portal online as well through ShawneeOK.org. It's really easy to access the citizen portal. So if you do go on walks within the community and you see, hey, this is a beautiful place to walk in, but I think this, and this needs to be cleaned up, take pictures of that and upload it, and let's just see what happens. Let's see if change is made that way too. So that would be a great outlet for us as citizens as well to make a difference in that way.
And you brought up another question from me, Fhionna. Okay, girls, can each of you navigate to that citizens portal? Do you know how to get there, and have you used it?
Yes.
I like this is why we like these ladies. I like
Go ahead, Greta. You had something to say?
And it's worked. It works.
Very good.
I mean,
what about you?
There is a response given when you go in and put in, a message. There's a response. Like you get results.
Good.
Very good. What about you, Sydney? Did you have good results?
Yeah, I'm going to be completely open, honest, and vulnerable here with you for a minute, and this may come back to bite me, but. So I decided to get on there the other day and just to see what it was doing, what it does, because I've heard really great things about it. And I found there's a house a few blocks away from me that it is vacant and it's overgrown. And I was like, okay, I'm going to add this in there. So I added it in there, and then I noticed this is the code enforcement side. So I saw that there's this really cool map that has dots over every property. And so I was like, oh, I'm going to zoom in on my house. There was a red dot on my house. And I was like, oh. So I immediately picked up the phone and I was like, why is there a red dot on my house? And so essentially,
I said, that's great. Way to go.
Oh, yeah. So essentially earlier that morning, somebody had turned me into the code enforcement. Can't believe I'm sharing this on Facebook Live.
I love it.
But what had happened was, and I totally get it. Like if I were my neighbor, I would be annoyed at me too. So after the tornado hit one of our fences that was really dilapidated. And I didn't get any help from the neighbor that I shared that fence with, and we also didn't get enough money to fix it. So when I decided to run for the seat, I thought, I really need to get that fence down, because if I'm going to run for the city commission, I need to be an example of what to do. So I got out there with the crowbar and a hammer, and I took that whole fence down by myself, and I hauled it all over to the corner of my yard, way far back in the back, where I didn't think it was really bothering anybody because I do not have a truck. And then I kind of forgot about the pile. And so the neighbor now has their house for sale. I mean, they don't tell you who it was, but I totally get it. They're trying to sell their house, and right on the other side of the fence line is this big pile of old rusty fence. So like, I do not blame them. I'm not upset or anything. But that day I told my boss, Dr. Thomas, as I was like, I've got to take off tomorrow. I've got a big pile of debris that I've got to take care of. So I took it. It's already gone. It's taken care of. But it was kind of funny. That very same day, I decided to go look on there, and I saw that I had, anyway, the code enforcement people were super great to work with.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I called them and they were like, yeah, I was about to contact you. This is what it was. And, you know, while we were out there cleaning it up, they drove by and honked and waved.
Yeah.
So,
So you're officially one of us.
I
Sydney.
am.
And that's what I was gonna say. That's so
I have
relatable.
to say, you told a pretty good story about it. Not bad. You're getting there.
Yeah. I try to be as relatable as possible.
Yes, and you've experienced from
Well,
both sides, so that's
Exactly.
And, you know, Fhionna might be too young, but I think everybody else at this table probably has had one of those yellow slips somewhere show up that, you know, the first thing you want to do is say, what? But then you think about it and you go, oh, well, you know, well, maybe.
Yeah, I get it.
All right. Well, hey, Fhionna, do you have anything else that you'd like to ask or say?
I do not, other than thank you, ladies, for being bold and brave and exactly who you guys are. I am so inspired by you all. I was inspired by you all before this race and this election, and now learning from you guys, I'm just even more blown away. And I can't wait to just, you know, further this relationship and see what you guys do. And I'm excited for the community because this is a taste of the opportunity that this community does have. And so we really need to look at these individuals, look at their characteristics, look at their values, look at how they raise their families and these conversations, and really, really support individuals like this to continue to run. This is the future of our community, and it is up to us to make it better and to stay informed. So thank you.
And now, to close, what I'd like you to do is, number one, whoever gets elected, you already know, but I'm going to tell you again, you're going to come against a lot of things that are close to true, they sound really bad if they're said one way, but really they could be said another way and they're not so bad. But you're going to come into a lot of that, and that drives a lot of people away. And I'd like you to address that situation from yourself in the sense of if you're ready for that or not. And then also give us your best pitch to vote for you, because it's going to be a tough choice for Ward 2 Commissioner. And we will start with you, Sydney, if you don't mind. First of all, how you're going to deal with the negative that is going to come. It's going to hit whoever holds this seat, and your best pitch for vote for you. Sydney.
All right. Yeah, so I did work for 10 years. I was the manager of the Oklahoma Corporation Commission Oil and Gas Complaints and Information Department. So I have had a lot of experiences with upset people. Sometimes they're valid and sometimes they just don't really understand the situation. So I learned in that decade of doing that work that being a listener is really important. And then also separating the truth from the, I wouldn't say untruth, because I don't think people are intentionally lying, just the misunderstanding. I think that it's going to be really important to figure out what the accurate statements are and then find a way to explain it in a way that the people understand it. So I'm very used to having complaints come my way. I've got thick skin. I can take it. But I think that it's really important just to sit down and explain with someone what's happening so that they get a full picture of it and that they don't leave even more confused or more upset than they already were. Is that answer the question?
It does, but now you get to say, hey, vote for me if you want to.
Okay, hey, vote for me if you want to. Was that what you wanted? Just kidding.
All right.
So no, I'm just kidding. So I'm not a politician. I think you can probably tell that. I don't think I would have told the story about being called code enforcement on if I was actually a politician. But I just love to listen to people. I like to find answers. I like to solve problems. And I'm willing to put in the work. I love Shawnee. I want to make it better. I think it's going to be really important to work with whoever is elected in every seat. So whoever the mayor is, I'm going to work really well with them because I mean I think working well together is essential. One thing I have really enjoyed, and I've learned so much about myself and about other people and about Shawnee doing this. I really have enjoyed getting to know Greta. I think that we both have really good different inputs, and if we could share the chair, like you suggested earlier, I don't think that would be a bad idea. I think that it's going to be really important that if I am elected, that I keep a good relationship with Greta and the other people that were running, the other people that were willing to put their hat in the ring, because obviously they love Shawnee, and they have a different input that I do. They have different life experiences than I do. And so I think staying close and partnering with them and the other people in Shawnee is going to make it successful. So I don't know if getting smaller meant that I was out of time. But
Ramble.
Okay, one thing I do want to say real quick. One thing, I think Cindy Berger, when she was I think one thing that she did really well is she got out there and really tried to bring the community together. Like Greta was saying, that it's going to be really, I think we really need to get the city together and get us to all be loyal. And I think that I really thought Cindy, her ideas were really great. She did like a fishing day. I think that it's really going to be up to the community to come out and get involved in those things. I would love to see those things happen. But I think that people also need to show up to them. So I think making friends with everybody and making them want to be involved is also going to make it successful.
Well, and I think I'm right on this, but I think there was a Cindy Burger Day at Larch Miller Park where she served burgers.
Yes.
Well, I think we ought to have a candidate and their family for Ward 2 party at Speak Eatery.
Okay, I'm in. I mean, my 8-year-old might burn the place down, but I'm in.
Hey, it's brick. It's brick. That's right. And Elliot can fix it. Actually, Greta could fix it probably too. Okay, Greta. Now for you, it's time for you to, number 1, thick skin. Number 2, vote for me, Greta Madsen.
Got it. So one of the things, my degree from OBU is actually in psychology. So it was funny because when I first started out in business ownership, I had a lot of people tell me, "Oh, I think your psychology degree really helps you with that." And I blew it off because I was like, I don't know what they're talking about. And as I've gained a lot of knowledge and experience in the business field, and then also my experience in my career, which was in the funeral business, I realized that everyone is driven by some kind of psychological factor. So when a citizen who is also, you could look at that person kind of as my customer, essentially. They're definitely not spending money with me, but they're my constituent. So that person has a psychological reason for coming to me. And so my goal, it's kind of like a challenge, it's kind of like a Rubik's Cube, figuring out what they actually deep down really want. So whether on the surface it's a complaint, but deep down they're just really hurt by something, whatever that looks like for them, my goal is going to be to figure out what that is and how, if there's a way to fix it and how to fix it and to try to fix it. And so that's just the psychology aspect of everyone and how they think and how they work and what their goals and aspirations and all of that looks like. What that is very fascinating to me. And so I think that's going to be a tremendous help for me, if I achieve this seat. But, vote for I'm a big proponent for vote for the best candidate. I hear a lot throughout this whole process. I like so and so, and I like so and so, and oh, I thought you were partnered up with so and so, and I thought so. Please vote for the best candidate. Do your research. Do the watching of the videos. Do the watching of the forums. Go on and online. I mean, look at what you can about the person, and don't pick them because you quote like them as a person. I mean, that's a great thing. Don't get me wrong. We don't want to dislike whoever's in office, but as far as saying, well, I like them as a person, so I'm going to go vote for them. Please do your research before you go vote. And whether that be because our county commissioners are in the vote for August 27th as well. Our mayor is in the vote, and then Sydney and I are in the vote. And I feel like there's probably another vote going on there too. So on August 27th. So please do your research and make sure that you vet out who you're voting for, and don't pick the person that you quote like. Make sure that the candidate definitely suits the needs of the community and not just who you like.
Hey, Fhionna, how'd you like that little overlay that said "Go vote"? Did you see that I could do that?
I liked it. Honestly, I thought Greta put it up, and I was like, "You wrote it, girl." And then I was like, "Okay, my dad's doing something over there." I liked it.
They built this for me, and I didn't know if it would fit or how it would go, and that just seemed like the right time to throw it up there.
It was good timing. Now pull up Sydney. She needs one with the "Go vote" on
Here
it.
you go, Sydney. Let's see if I can make this happen. I mean,
Yeah.
This is actually fun.
Woo! There you go. There you go.
Very good. Well, hey, thank you both, all three of you, sweetheart. Thank you for being with
He's
us.
talking to me, you guys.
Yeah. And then you two, thank you both for running. I appreciate you. Sydney, getting to know you a little bit better. Greta, I've known you for a long time. I've always been very impressed with you. And I think that the voters have a very tough choice on August 27th in Ward 2. But you know what? I don't think there's a bad choice in Ward 2 either.
And I've known Greta for years, but I've honestly been closer to Sydney and her family over the years. So I've really loved learning more about Greta in this too. So I'm loving it. And yes, I don't believe there's a bad candidate. So you go, girls.
I want to second that. I think I feel really comfortable that either one of us would do a really good job. So I'm
not a politician, Sydney.
Not a politician.
Well, actually, I think that kind of shows that you may be an academic because you're a little bit smart. Because, if you get elected, this is going to be 4 years at least. And that's, it's good to throw your hat in the ring. But, if you just miss, who knows?
Wait. I didn't know it was 4 years.
Wait.
That's like a whole other
girls.
Something. What are you talking about?
Thank you all very much for being with us.
Right? This is a pain. This is a pain.
Yeah.
And we are signing off.
Good night, everybody.
There's going to be a Ward 2 party. That's a good thing. All right.
Good
Good night, everybody.
Night.